जिस दिन वेद के मंत्रों से धरती को सजाया जाएगा, जिस दिन वेद के मंत्रों से धरती को सजाया जाएगा, उस दिन ऋषि के गीतों का त्योहार मनाया जाएगा।
जय जय ऋषि की जय, बोलो जय जय ऋषि की जय, जय जय ऋषि की जय, बोलो जय जय ऋषि की जय।
जिस दिन काले बाजारों में धन के चोर नहीं होंगे,
धन के चोर नहीं होंगे, धन के चोर नहीं होंगे।
मदिरा के सौदाई जिस दिन चारों ओर नहीं होंगे,
चारों ओर नहीं होंगे, चारों ओर नहीं होंगे।
अंडे मांस के खाने वाले रिश्वत खोर नहीं होंगे, जिस दिन सच कहने वालों के दिल कमजोर नहीं होंगे। भूखे बच्चों को जिस दिन भूखा न सुलाया जाएगा, ओ भूखे बच्चों को जिस दिन भूखा न सुलाया जाएगा, उस दिन ऋषि के गीतों का त्योहार मनाया जाएगा।
जय जय ऋषि की जय, बोलो जय जय ऋषि की जय, जय जय ऋषि की जय, बोलो जय जय ऋषि की जय।
जिस दिन वीर शहीदों की कुर्बानी की पूजा होगी,
कुर्बानी की पूजा होगी, कुर्बानी की पूजा होगी।
देश के हित में सब कुछ देने वालों की पूजा होगी,
की पूजा होगी, की पूजा होगी।
उधम भगत सुभाष की जब कुर्बानी की पूजा होगी, वीर शिरोमणि लक्ष्मीबाई रानी की पूजा होगी। जब ऋषि के सपनों को साकार बनाया जाएगा, जब ऋषि के सपनों को साकार बनाया जाएगा, उस दिन ऋषि के गीतों का त्योहार मनाया जाएगा।
जय जय ऋषि की जय, बोलो जय जय ऋषि की जय, जय जय ऋषि की जय, बोलो जय जय ऋषि की जय, जय जय ऋषि की जय, बोलो जय जय ऋषि की
Namaste, everyone, to all of our participants in Mandir this morning and to all of our viewers on social media, on YouTube, and on Facebook. We welcome you to our Sunday morning service here at the Arya Spiritual Center in Briarwood, New York. It's a cold morning here in Queens, but we thank you all for joining us for our Sunday morning service. Today's service is being brought to you by the Mahela members. At this time, we're going to prepare ourselves to begin Sandhya. So we're going to get into a very comfortable position. We're going to prepare our minds to focus inwardly. We'll release any tension we have this morning, and will generate a feeling of peace, happiness, and gratitude as we go through Sandhya this morning. As we begin, let us chant Om 3 times, invoking the divine vibrations. Atha Sanyopasana Vidhi. As we begin the first set of the mantras, we're going to take water in our right palm and we're going to sip with each mantra. Om Amrito Pastanamasi Swaha. Om Amrita Pidhanamasi Swaha. Om Satyam Yashah Shrirmai Shrirhashrayatam Swaha. With the following mantra, we're going to sip water 3 times at the end. Om Shanno Devi Rabhishtaya Apo Bhavantu Pitaye Shanyo Rabhi Sravantu Naha Devi Swarupa Ishwara Purana Bhishta ki jai Yahani Raho Sudha mein Kalyana Dana Dije Nit Riddhi Siddhi Barse Hit ho sada hamara बहती रहे हृदय में सधर्म प्रेम धारा सधर्म प्रेम धारा O all-pervading Mother, sweet and divine, be pleased to bless the cravings of my soul. To reach thy bosom, may this world of mine be filled with peace and bliss from pole to pole. Adhanga Sparshamantra. We will now take water in our left palm, and using our middle and ring finger, we're going to touch various limbs of our body, praying for their health and the ability to use them in the right and noble way. Om Bhagavad, lips. Om Prana Prana, nostrils. Om Chakshu Chakshu, eyes. Om Shrotram Shrotram, ears,
Om Nabhi,
navel,
Om Hridayam,
heart,
Om Kantaha,
throat,
Om Shiraha,
head,
Om Bahubyam Yashobalam,
shoulders,
Om Karatalakara Prishte,
front and back of your palms. Marjana mantra. We'll continue to touch various limbs of our body with this sacrificial water, asking for all of these organs to be pure.
Om Bhupanatu Shirasi, Om Bhuhapanatu Netrayo, Om Swahapanatu Hante, Om Mahapunatu Hridaye, Om Janahapunatu Nabhyam, Om Tapahapunatu Padayo, Om Satyam Punatu Punashirasi, Om Kham Brahma Punatu Sarvatra.
Pranayama mantra. We'll now focus on our breathing system. We'll take a few breaths in and out. And we're saying, thank you, O Lord, that our respiratory system is working so well. So we'll take a deep breath in, and upon exhaling, we'll chant the following mantra. Om Bhu, Om Bhuvaha, Om Swaha, Om Maha, Om Janaha, Om Tapaha, Om Satyam. Om Ritu, Om Bhuvaha, Om Swaha, Om Maha, Om Janaha, Om Tapaha, Om Satyam. Om Bhu, Om Bhuvaha, Om Swaha, Om Maha, Om Janaha, Om Tapaha, Om Satyam. Aghamarshana mantra. Om Ritancha Satyancha Bhidha Tapasorya Jayata Tatoratraya Jayata Tatah Samudro Arnavaha. Om Samudradarnavadadhi Samvatsaro Ajayata Ahoratrani Vidadat Vishwasyam Mishito Vashi. Om Surya Chandramasao Dhata Yatha Purvamakalpayat Divam cha Prithivim Chantarikshamatho Swaha. Om Shanno Devi Rabhishtaya Apo Bhavantu Pitaye Shanyo Rabi Sravantu Naha. Manasa Parikrama mantra. We'll now take our minds on a virtual tour around the 4 cardinal points and the upper and lower regions. We are thanking our Lord for blessing us with a world that is filled with so many beautiful resources. Om Prachi Dig Agni Patirasito Rakshita Ditya Ishavaha Tebhyo Namo Dhipatibhyo Namo Rakshitrebhyo Nama Ishubhyo Nama Ebhyo Astu Yosman Dvaishtiyam Vayam Dvishma Samvo Jambe Natmaha.
ॐ दक्षिणादिगेन्द्रोऽधिपतिस्थिरश्चिराजि रक्षिता पितरैषवः तेभ्यो नमो धिपतिभ्यो नमो रक्षितृभ्यो नमः ईशभ्यो नमः एभ्योऽस्तु योऽस्मान् वैश्यं वयं द्विष्मसंवोजं मेद्भद्मः ॐ प्रतीची दिग्वरुणोऽधिपति प्रीडाकु रक्षितानमिषवः तेभ्यो नमो धिपतिभ्यो नमो रक्षितृभ्यो नमः ईशभ्यो नमः एभ्योऽस्तु योऽस्मान् वैष्णीयं वयं द्विष्मसंवोजं मेद्भद्मः ॐ उदीची दिक्सोमोऽधिपति स्वजो रक्षिता शनिरिषवः तेभ्यो नमो धिपतिभ्यो नमो रक्षितृभ्यो नमः ईशभ्यो नमः एभ्योऽस्तु योऽस्मान् वैष्णीयं वयं द्विष्मसंवोजं मेद्भद्मः ॐ ध्रुवादिग्विष्णुरधिपति कल्माषग्रीवो रक्षिता वीरुधैषवः तेभ्यो नमो धिपतिभ्यो नमो रक्षितृभ्यो नमः ईशभ्यो नमः एभ्योऽस्तु योऽस्मान् वैष्णीयं वयं द्विष्मसंवोजं मेद्भद्मः ॐ ऊर्ध्वादिग्बृहस्पति रधिपति श्वित्रो रक्षिता वशमिषवः तेभ्यो नमो धिपतिभ्यो नमो रक्षितृभ्यो नमः ईशभ्यो नमः एभ्योऽस्तु योऽस्मान् वैश्यं वयं द्विष्मसंवोजं मेद्भद्मः
Upasthana mantra. At this time, we generate an emotion that we are very close to God.
ॐ उद्वयन्तमसस्परि स्वः पश्यन्त उत्तरं देवं देवत्रा सूर्यमगन्म ज्योतिरुत्तमम् ॐ उरुत्यं जातवेदसं देवं वहन्ति केतवः दृश्ये विश्वाय सूर्यम् ॐ चित्रं देवानां मुरगारनीकं चक्षुर्मित्रस्य वरुणस्याग्ने आप्राद्यावा पृथिवी अन्तरिक्षं सूर्यात्मा जगतस्तुष्टश्च स्वाहा ॐ तच्चक्षुर्देवहितं पुरस्ताच्च चक्रमुच्चरत् पश्येमा शररः शतं जीवेमा शररः शतं शृणुयामा शररः शतं प्रप्लवामा शररः शतं मदीनास्यामा शररः शतं भूयश्च शररः शता ॐ शन्नो देवीरविष्टया आपो भवन्तु पीतये शन्यो रवि स्रवन्तु नः अथ ब्रह्म गायत्री सावित्री गुरु मंत्र. As we chant the Gayatri mantra this morning, we ask God to continue to inspire our intellect and to lead our mind to that path that leads to more peace, love, and joy. Om Bhurbhuvah Swaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Nah Prachodayat. Om Bhurbhuvah Swaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Nah Prachodayat. Om Bhurbhuvah Swaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Nah Prachodayat. O soul of life, the holy King of kings, O God of all the regions high and low, O Lord of joy, whose glory nature sings, who shapes the earth and lets the mortals grow. We seek thy blessed feet to meditate upon thy glorious form of holy light, which drives away the gloom of sins we hate, and makes the souls of righteous people bright. My heart, O Father, meekly prays to thee, to win thy grace to make me good and wise, and bless my mind with knowledge full and free, from dark and vicious thoughts of sins and lies. Yes, from dark and vicious thoughts of sins and lies. Samarpana Vakyam. Hey Ishwar Dayanidhe Bhavat Kripayanina Japopasanandhi Karmana Dharmartha Kama Mokshanam Sadyah Siddhir Bhavinah. As we come to the last mantra in Sandhya, we are grateful this morning that we had the opportunity to connect with our Lord, and we should be feeling a sense of peace and joy in our hearts. Om Namah Shambhavaya Cha Mayo Bhavaya Cha Namah Shankaraya Cha Mayaskaraya Cha Namah Shivaya Cha Shivataraya Cha. Hey Mangalesha Shankar Mangala Karo Hamara Pavan Prakash Paye Paramartya Punya Dwara Parijana Pe Pilado Avadhar Agadhadani Teri Sharan Mein Aaya Hai Bhaktaya Bhavani Hai Bhaktaya Bhavani. And now I bow to thee, O God of calm, O God of peace and Lord of bliss divine, thy grace supplies to burning hearts a balm, thy blessings in my right desire shine. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Iti Sankhyopasana Vidhi Samaptaha.
Now that we've concluded Sandhya, we're going to have a bhajan by Auntie Prema.
She's leading one, and I'll do the bhajan transition and anyone wishes.
All right, so there's been a correction. So Mahin Diana will lead us in a bhajan this morning. And we're inviting Yajman, if anyone would like to come up and do Havan, you can come up on the stage at this time.
Behin Darshini has been learning this bhajan, so she will be the one leading it this morning. आज अंधेरे में है हम इंसान, जान के सूरज चमका दे भगवान। आज अंधेरे में है हम इंसान, जान का सूरज चमका थे भगवान। बत कर है हमरा हरिकारे, भगवन राह हरिकारे। बत कर है हमरा हरिकारे, भगवन राह हरिकारे। करम कदम पर किरण बिचारे, भगवन किरण बिचारे। ओ करम कदम पर किरण बिचारे, भगवन किरण बिचारे। इन कियन को प्रभु करारे, इन कियन को प्रभु करारे। ज्योति से पहचान, ज्योति से पहचान। आज अंधेरे में है हम इंसान, जान का सूरज चमका थे भगवान। आज हम तो है संतान तिहारी, प्रभु संतान तिहारी। हम तो है संतान तिहारी, प्रभु संतान तिहारी। तेरी हमारे ऐसा दे वरदान, ऐसा दे वरदान। आज अंधेरे में है हम इंसान, चांद का सूरज चमका दे भगवान, चांद का सूरज चमका दे भगवान, चांद का सूरज चमका दे भगवान।
And over to Auntie Primo for leading us into Hawan this morning. Thank you.
Atha Achmanam. Om Amritopastanamasi Swaha. Om Amritapidhanamasi Swaha. Om Satyam Yashah Srimani Shri Rayatam Swaha. Atha Angaparish. Om Vanesvistu. Om Nasur mein pranastu. Om Akshur mein chakshurastu. Om Kayur mein shrotamastu. Om Bahur mein balamastu. Om Urvur mein urjurastu. Om Aristani mein Angani Tanustanva mein sahasantu. Atha Ishwar Stuti Prarthana Upasana Mantra. Om Vishwani Deva Savitar Duritani Parasva Yad Bhadram Tanasva. हे सकल जगत के उत्पत्ति करता, समग्र ईश्वरीय युक्त शुद्ध स्वरूप सब सुखों के दाता परमेश्वर, आप कृपा करके हमारे संपूर्ण दुर्गुण दुर्व्यसन और दुखों को दूर करके जो कल्याणकारक गुण कर्म स्वभाव वाले पदार्थ है वे सब हमको प्राप्त कीजिए। ओम हिरण्यगर्भा समवर तथाग्रे भूतस्य जाता प्रतिरेक आसीत् सदाधार पृथिवीव्यामुखे मां कस्मै देवाय हविषा विधेम। ओम य आत्मदा बलदायस्य विश्वा उपासते प्रशिशं यस्य देवा यस्य छायामृतं यस्य मृत्युः कस्मै देवाय हविषा विधेम। ओम प्रजापते न त्वदेवतान्यो विश्वाजातानि परिथा बभूव
यत्कामस्ते जुहुमस्तन्नो वस्तु वयं स्यामा पतयोरयिनाम्
ॐ येन द्यौरुग्रा पृथिवी
छाद्रिता
येन स्वसवितं येन नाकः यो अन्तरिक्षे रजसो विमानः तस्मै देवाय हविषा विधेम ॐ प्रजापतेन त्वदेतान्यो विश्वा जातानि परिता बभूव यत् कामस्ते जुहुमस्तन्नो वस्तु वयं स्याम पतयोरयिनाम् ॐ सनो भन्दुरजनिता सा विधाता धामानि वेद भुवनानि विश्वा यत्र देवामृतमानशाना स्तृतीये धामन्नत्यरयन्त ॐ अग्नेनया सुपथाराय अस्मान् विश्वानि देवयुनानि विद्वान् यो यो यस्मज्जुहुरार्णमेन भूयिष्ठान्ते नमौतिं विधेम इति ईश्वर स्तुति प्रार्थना उपासना कर्म अथ स्वस्ति वाचनम् ॐ अग्निमिले पुरोहितं यजस्य देवमृतद्विजं होतारं रत्नधातमम् ॐ सनः पितेव सूनवे अग्ने सुपायनो भव स च स्वानः स्वस्तये ॐ स्वस्ति नो मिमितामश्विना भगा स्वस्ति देव्यादितिर्नर्वणः स्वस्ति पूषा सुरो दधातु नः स्वस्ति द्यावा पृथिवी सुचेतुना ॐ स्वस्तये वायुमुप्रवामहे सोमं स्वस्ति भुवनस्य यस्पतिः बृहस्पतिं सर्वगणं स्वस्तये स्वस्तयादित्यासो भवन्तु नः ॐ विश्वे देवानो स्वस्तये वैश्वानरो वसुरग्निः स्वस्तये देवा अवन्तवृभवः स्वस्तये स्वस्ति नो रुद्रः पात्वं हसः ॐ स्वस्ति मित्रावरुणा स्वस्ति पत्ये स्वस्ति न इन्द्रश्चाग्निश्च स्वस्ति नो अरिते कृधिः ॐ स्वस्ति पन्थामनुचरेम सूर्य चन्द्रमसाविव पुनर्ददताग्नता जानता संगमे मही इति संक्षेपत स्वस्ति वाचनम् अथ शान्तिकरणम् ॐ शनाइन्द्राग्नि भवतामगोभिः शन्ना इन्द्रावरुणारातहव्या शमिन्द्रा सोमा सुविताय शन्यो शन्ना इन्द्रा पूषणा वाजसातौ ॐ शन्नो भगः शमुनः शंसोऽस्तु शन्नः पुरन्दिः शमुसन्तुरायः शन्नः सत्यस्य सूर्यमास्य शंसः शन्नो अर्यमा पुरुजातो अस्तु ॐ शन्नो धाता शमुधर्ता नो अस्तु शन्ना उरुचि भवतु स्वधाभिः शन्नोदसी बृहति शन्नो अद्रिः शन्नो देवानां सुहवानि सन्तु ॐ शन्नो अग्निर्ज्योतिरनीको अस्तु शन्नो मित्रावरुणावश्विनाशम् शन्नः सुकृतां सुकृतानि सन्तु शन्ना ईशिरो अभिवातु वातः ॐ शन्नो द्यावा पृथिवी पूर्वहूतौ शमिन्तरिक्षं दृशयेन वस्तु शन्ना औषधिर्वनिनो भवन्तु शन्नो रजसस्पतिरस्तु जिष्णुः ॐ शन्ना इन्द्रो वसुभिर्देवो अस्तु शमारित्येभिर्वरुणः शुशंसः शन्नो रुद्रो रुद्रेभिर्जलाशः शन्नस्त्वष्टाग्नाभिरिह शृणोतु ॐ शन्नः सोमो भवतु ब्रह्म शन्नः शन्नो ग्रावाणः शमुसन्तु यज्ञः शन्नः स्वरुणामितयो भवन्तु शन्नः प्रस्वः शम्वस्तु वेदिः अथ शिवसङ्कल्पमन्त्र ॐ यजाग्रतो दूरमुदैति देवम् तरुसुप्तस्य तदैवैति दूरङ्गमं ज्योतिषां ज्योतिरेकम् तन्मे मनः शिवसङ्कल्पमस्तु ॐ येन कर्माण्यपसो मनीषिणो यज्ञे कृण्वन्ति विरतेषु धीराः यदा पूर्वं यक्षमन्तः प्रजानां तन्मे मनः शिवसङ्कल्पमस्तु ॐ यत् प्रजानमुचचेतो त्रिदिश्या यत् ज्योतिरन्तरमृतं प्रजासु यस्मानरिते कञ्चन कर्म क्रियते तन्मे मनः शिवसङ्कल्पमस्तु ॐ येनेदं भूतं भुवनं भविष्यत् परिगृहीतममृतेन सर्वम् येन यजस्तायते सप्तहोता तन्मे मनः शिवसङ्कल्पमस्तु। ॐ यस्मिन् ऋचः सामयजोंषि यस्मिन् प्रतिष्ठिता रत्नाभा विहारः यस्मिन् स्थितं सर्वमोतं प्रजानां तन्मे मनः शिवसङ्कल्पमस्तु। ॐ सुषारतिरश्वानि वयन्मनुष्या नेयते भीषुभिर्वाजिनैव हृत्प्रतिष्ठं यजजिरं जविष्टं तन्मे मनः शिवसङ्कल्पमस्तु। तन्मे मनः शिवसङ्कल्पमस्तु। ॐ सनः भवस्व शङ्गवे शं जनाय शमर्वते शं राजनौषधीभ्यः। ॐ अभयं नः कर्त्यन्तरिक्षम् अभयं द्यावा पृथिवी उभे मे अभयं पश्चादभयं पुरस्तात् धृतराजधरा अभयं नमस्तु। ॐ अभयं मित्रारभयं अमित्रात् अभयं जातारभयं परोक्षात् अभयं नक्तम् अभयं दिवानः सर्वाशा मम मित्रं भवन्तु सर्वाशा मम मित्रं भवन्तु। इति संक्षेपतः शान्ति करणम् अथा अग्निदानम्।
May we all stand?
ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः भुम्ना पृथिवीव वर्णा तस्यास्ते पृथिवी देवयजनि पृष्ठे मनादमनादयाया ददे। ॐ उद्भूत्य स्वाग्ने प्रतिजाग्रहे त्वमिष्टापूर्ते संसृजेथामयं च अस्मिन् सदस्ते अद्युतरस्मिन् विश्वे देवा यजमानश्च सीदता।
May we all take our seats.
संविधान। ॐ आयन्द इन्म आत्मा जात वीरसेने दस्वचेद् हवदय चास्मान् प्रजया पशुभिर्ब्रह्मवर्चसे नानाधेन समेधय स्वाहा इदमग्ने जातवेदसे इदन्नमः ॐ समिधाग्निं दुवस्य घृते बोधयथातिथिम् अस्मिन् हव्यजोतना स्वाहा इदमग्ने जातवेदसे ॐ सुसमिधाय शोचिषे घृतं तीव्रं जोतना अग्नये जातवेदसे स्वाहा इदमग्ने जातवेदसे इदन्नमः ॐ तन्त्वा समिधिरङ्गिरो घृतेन वर्धयामसि बृहच्छोचाय विष्ट्य स्वाहा इदमग्ने घृतसे इदन्नमः अतः 5 घृति आहुति 5 offerings of ghee. ॐ अयन्त इद्म आत्मा जात वेदस्तेने धस्ववडस्व चेरवडय चास्मान् प्रजया पशुभिर्ब्रह्मवर्चसे नानाधेन समेधय स्वाहा इदमग्ने जातवेदसे इदन्नमः ॐ अयन्त इद्म आत्मा जातवेदस्तेने धस्ववडस्व चेरवडय चास्मान् प्रजया पशुभिर्ब्रह्मवर्चसे नानाधेन समेधय स्वाहा इदमग्ने जातवेदसे इदन्नमः ॐ अयन्त इद्म आत्मा जातवेदस्तेने धस्ववडस्व चेरवडय चास्मान् प्रजया पशुभिर्ब्रह्मवर्चसे नानाधेन समेधय स्वाहा इदमग्ने जातवेदसे इदन्नमः ॐ अयन्त इद्म आत्मा जातवेदस्तेने धस्ववडस्व चेरवडय चास्मान् प्रजया पशुभिर्ब्रह्मवर्चसे नानाधेन समेधय स्वाहा इदमग्ने जातवेदसे इदन्नमः 5th and final time. ॐ अयन्त इद्म आत्मा जातवेदस्तेने धस्ववडस्व चेरवडय चास्मान् प्रजया पशुभिर्ब्रह्मवर्चसे नानाधेन समेधय स्वाहा इदमग्ने जातवेदसे इदन्नमः अथ जल सिंचनम् ॐ अदिते अनुमन्यस्व ॐ अनुमते अनुमन्यस्व ॐ सरस्वते अनुमन्यस्व ॐ देवा सविता प्रसवाय जपथिं बघाय देव्यो गन्धर्वकेत् पूकेतं न पुनातः वाचस्पतिर्वाचं नः स्वारतु आघार भाग्य आहुति। ॐ अग्नये स्वाहा इदम् अग्नये इदं मम।
ॐ सोमाय स्वाहा
इदं सोमाय इदं मम। ॐ प्रजापते स्वाहा इदं प्रजापते इदं मम। ॐ इन्द्राय स्वाहा इदम् इन्द्राय इदं मम। प्रातःकाली आहुति। ॐ सूर्यो ज्योतिर्ज्योतिः सूर्यः स्वाहा। ॐ सूर्यो वर्चो ज्योतिर्वर्चः स्वाहा। ॐ ज्योतिः सूर्यः सूर्यो ज्योतिः स्वाहा। ॐ सजुर्देवेन सवित्रा सजुरात्रेण वत्या दुषानो सूर्यो वेतु स्वाहा। ॐ अग्निर्ज्योतिर्ज्योतिरग्निः स्वाहा। ॐ अग्निर्वर्चो ज्योतिर्वर्चः स्वाहा।
Silent prayer.
ॐ स्वाहा। ॐ सजुर्देवेन सवित्रा सजुरात्रेण वत्या जुषानो अग्निर्वेतु स्वाहा। ॐ भूरग्नाय प्राणाय स्वाहा इदमग्नये प्राणाय इदं मम। ॐ भूर्वायवे पानाय स्वाहा इदं वायवे पानाय इदं मम। ॐ स्वारादित्याय व्यानाय स्वाहा इदमादित्याय व्यानाय इदं मम। ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वरग्निवायवादितेभ्यः प्राणापानयानेभ्यः स्वाहा इदमग्ने वायवादितेभ्यः प्राणापानयानेभ्यः इदं मम। ॐ आपो ज्योतिरसो अमृतं ब्रह्म भूर्भुवः स्वरो स्वाहा। ॐ यां मेधां देवगणः पितरश्चोपासते दया मामद्य मेधायज्ञे मेधाविनं कुरु स्वाहा। ॐ विश्वानि देव सवितर् दुरितानि परासुव यद्भद्रं तन्नासुव स्वाहा। ॐ अग्निनया सुपताराय अस्मान् विश्वानि देव वयुनानि विद्वान् युयुर्यस्मन् जुहुरानमेनो भूयश्कान्ते नम उतिं विधेम स्वाहा। And now we'll ask Pandit Bharatji to do the special mantras.
Indeed, fitting it is today's program, today's आज हमारे कार्यक्रम महिलाओं के कार्यक्रम है. Today's Today's satsang is led by the Mahila group. And last Tuesday, March 8th, the world observed Antarashtriya Mahila Divas, International Women's Day. And also this month is Women's History Month, and there's a lot of focus all over different media on the contribution of our females, our mothers, our women folk to the growth and prosperity of this world. And today, all our mothers in Mandir, all our sisters, daughters in Mandir, the entire Mahila group, as we chant these special mantras, the Pavamana Ahuti, Brihad Vishesh mantras, we ask God, O Agni, with radiant light, to purify and lengthen their lives, and that in their day-to-day lifestyle, may they continue to consume wholesome and nutritious food, that they will have the requisite energy in performing their defined functions, whatever it is. And as we know, it's multifaceted. And we ask you, oh God, that whatever challenges our Mahilao, whatever they will experience in life ahead, we ask God, Ban Nirvani as the coordinator of the Mahila group, supported by a wonderful team of mothers and females in this mandir, we ask God that may all of you be blessed with that mental strength and that physical capability in overcoming all such challenges. Om, a little higher. Om Bhur Bhuvah Swaha Agna Ayumshi Pavasa Asuvur Jamisham Chanaha Are Bhadhasva Duchunam Swaha Idamagne Pavamanaya Idanna Mama Om Bhur Bhuvah Swaha Agnirishih Pavamanaha Panchajanyah Purohitah Tame Mahe Mahagayam Swaha Idamagne Pavamanaya Idanna Mama Om Bhur Bhuvah Swaha Agne Pavasva Swapa Asme Varchah Suviryam Dadatraye Mae Posham Swaha Iramagnaye Pavamanaya Idanna Mama Om Bhur Bhuvah Swaha Prajapate Natvaretanyanyo Vishwajatani Paritapa Bhuva Yat Kamaste Juhumastano Vastu Vayam Syama Patayorainam Swaha Idam Prajapate Idanna Mama Om Tvanno Agni Varunasya Vidwan Devasya Hedo Vayasi Shishtaha Yajishto Vahnitamaha Shoshuchano Vishwadveshansi Brahmamugyasmat Swaha Iramagni Varunabhyam Idanna Mama Om Bhavatannah Samanasau Sachetasa Mayajyam Himshishtam Mayajyapatim Jatavedasau Shivau Bhavattamadyanah Swaha Iram Jatavedobhyam Idanna Mama. We ask God that may all the mothers, all the ladies, the Mahilao, may they continue to make efforts in becoming learned. May they always be good leaders of their home. May they be good orators. May they always make, as we know, they make every effort in removing the enemies from our home. May they, oh God, may they constantly, as they have always been doing, maintain harmony with such well-coordinated activities within their home environment that brings about happiness. Om Aham Keturaham Murdhanamu Vivachane Mamedhano Kratum Patihi Sehanaya Upacharet Swaha. May every mother continue to raise children who are brave and heroic. May their children continue to be intelligent and victorious. Possessed of such children, may they continue to perform their wifely duties in a very orderly manner. And may whatever our women folk will do, may they bring fame by their disposition to their family. Om mama putroha shatruhanotho me duhita virat utaha masme samjaya papatyo me shloka uttamaha swaha. Om sumangali pratarani grihanam susheva patyeshvashuraya shambhu Syona Shwashve Pragrihan Vishweman Swaha. Om Iyam Nari Yupabrute Pulayana Yava Pantika Dirgayurastu me Patir Jivate Sharadah Shatam Swaha. Beautiful mantra indeed. In this mantra, the wife of the home prays not only for her long life, but it says here, Dirga Ayu Rastu Me Patir, Pati. She also prays for the long life of her husband. And today we pray for all our mothers, all the Dharmpatnis, all our sisters, all our daughters, grandmothers, Aji, Nana, whatever roles they play in our homes, in our community, in our Samaj, Mahila coordinator, IT coordinator, whatever roles all the Mahila will play. We ask God in this mantra, Bhadram Karne Bihi Shrinuyama Deva, that may all of you continue to see that which is noble. May you continue to hear that which is auspicious, singing God's praises with strong limbs and healthy bodies. May you all continue to enjoy a long lifespan determined by your wonderful, noble good deeds. Om Bhadram Karnebihi Shrinuyama Deva Bhadram Pashyemakshabhir Yajatraha Sthirairangai Stushtavam Satsanobhir Yashemahi Devahitam Yadayuhu Swaha. And we also think of those members of our Samaj who is not in the best of health right now. I won't call names. There are some of our members who are ailing at this time. And we ask God, we think of those places also on the face of Mother Earth where people, their peace, their health, their way of life has been disturbed. And we ask you, oh God, as the mantra says, Trayambakam yajamahe, today once more yajamahe, yajya. As we perform yajya, we connect through the medium of this yajna and ask God, just like how a ripened fruit is automatically released from its stem, in the same way, may all those individuals with their different illnesses, may all those people who are suffering at this time, may all their sufferings, may all their ailments be taken away, and may renewed health and peace and harmony and a normal sense of life, a normal way of life, come back to all these wonderful people. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushti Vardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mokshiya Mamritat Swaha. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushti
Vardhanam
उर्वारुकमेव बन्धनान् मृत्योर्
मृत्योर्मोक्षीय मामृतात्
स्वाहा ॐ त्र्यम्बकं यजामहे सुगन्धिं पुष्टिवर्धनम् उर्वारुकमेव बन्धनान् मृत्योर्मोक्षीय मामृतात् स्वाहा. During the past week, the chairman of our trustees, Bhai Sagar, he celebrated a milestone birthday. But we'll wait until he comes next week, and then we'll chant those special mantras. We will continue with our yajna at this point.
Om Agne
स्वाहा
Swaha
इदमग्नये इदन्नाममा
Om Somaya Swaha
इदं सोमाय इदन्नाममा
Om Prajapate Swaha Idam Prajapate Idannamama
ॐ इन्द्राय स्वाहा इदम् इन्द्राय इदन्नाममा
Om Bhurnaye Swaha Idamagnaye Idannamama Om Bhurvayave Swaha Idam Vayave Idannamama Om Swaradityaye Swaha Idamarityaya Idannamama Om Bhurбhuvah Swaragni Vayavaditebhyah Swaha Idamagni Vayavaditebhyah Idannamama. Now we'll say the Gayatri Mantra. Om Bhurбhuvah Swa Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Nah Prachodayat Swaha. Om Bhurбhuvah Swaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Nah Prachodayat Swaha. Om Bhurбhuvah Swaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Nah Prachodayat Swaha. हे दयालु परमात्मन, आप अपने असीम कृपा से हमारी सदा रक्षा करते हैं। आप ही हमारे जीवन आधार है। अपने सेवकों के दुखों को दूर करके उनको सुख देने वाले हैं। आप सर्वत्र सुप्रतिष्ठित और सुप्रसिद्ध है। आप सर्वोत्तम, शुद्ध, पवित्र और ज्ञान स्वरूप है। आप से ही यह सारा जगत उत्पन्न हुआ है। आप ही सकल शुद्ध गुणों की खान है। आपका हम प्रतिदिन ध्यान करें और आप हमें विवेकशीलता, धारणावती मेधा, सद्बुद्धि प्रदान करें। O Supreme Being, cause of all manifestations in the universe, source of existence, intelligence and bliss, we meditate upon your adorable nature. May you illumine and inspire our intellect. Swasti Krita Ahuti Mantra. Swasti Krita Ahuti Mantra. I'm sorry. Om
Yadasya karmanotyariricham
यद्वान्यूनमिहाकरम् अग्निष्टसृष्टकृत् विद्या सर्वं सृष्टं सुहृतं करोतु मे अग्नये सृष्टकृते सहुताउते सर्वा प्रायश्चित्ताहुतीनां कामानां समर्धयित्रे सर्वानः कामान् समर्धय स्वाहा इदमग्नये श्विष्टकृते एतन्न मम
Prajapati Mantra. Okay. Silent prayer. Om
स्वाहा इदं प्रजापते इदन्न मम. Let us all stand for the final 3 offerings.
Om
सर्वं वै पूर्णं स्वाहा ॐ सर्वं वै पूर्णं स्वाहा ॐ सर्वं वै पूर्णं स्वाहा. All is perfect, all is complete. May the perfection become part of my personality.
Om Tanupagneyasi
तन्वं मे पाहि
ॐ आयुर्दाग्नेयसि आयुर्मे देहि ॐ वर्चोदाग्नेयसि वर्चो मे देहि ॐ अग्नेयन्मे तन्वा ऊनं तन्वा आपृणा ॐ मेधा मे देवः सविता आदधातु ॐ मेधा मे देवा
सरस्वती आदधातु
ॐ मेधा मे अश्विनौ देवावत्वं
पुष्करस्रजौ आप्यायताम्
ॐ वाक्चामा आप्यायताम् ॐ प्राणश्च मा आप्यायताम् ॐ चक्षुश्च मा आप्यायताम् ॐ श्रोत्रं च मा आप्यायताम् ॐ यशो बलं च मा आप्यायताम्.
May we all take our seats. यज प्रार्थना गीत. पूजनीय प्रभु हमारे भाव उज्ज्वल कीजिए छोड़ देवे छल कपट को मानसिक बल दीजिए वेद की गाए रचाए सत्य को धारण करे हर्ष में हो मान सारे शोक सागर से तरे अश्वमेधादिक रचाए यज्ञ पर उपकार को धर्म मर्यादा चलाकर लाभ दे संसार को स्वार्थ भाव मिटे हमारा प्रेम पथ विस्तार हो इदन मम का सार्थक प्रत्येक में व्यवहार हो हाथ जोर झुकाए मस्तक हाथ जोर झुकाए मस्तक वंदना हम कर रहे नाथ करुणा रूप करुणा आपकी सब पर रहे प्रभु आपकी सब पर रहे प्रभु आपकी सब पर रहे
सर्वे भवन्तु
सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् हे ईश सब सुखी हो कोई न हो दुखारी सब हो निरोग भगवन धन धान्य के भंडारी सब भद्र भाव दे के सन्मार्ग के पथिक हो दुखिया न कोई होवे सृष्टि में प्राणधारी हे ईश सब सुखी हो
Oh Lord, may all be happy, may all be free from misery, may all realize goodness, and may no one suffer pain.
ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः
Iti havan yajna samaptaha.
Namaste and good morning. For those who made it out in this bitter cold New York weather, we thank you. For those of you who are enjoying the beautiful sunshine in whatever warm state you are joining us from, we are very jealous. But nonetheless, we thank you all for tuning in this morning to watch us lead in the Mahela program. On behalf of the Pundits Council, the executive body, the Mahela, especially the Mahela this morning, our youths and our members, we welcome you here to this morning's Sunday morning program. Pandita Nirvani is going to be giving the welcome speech for this morning, and I invite her onto this podium.
Thank you, Bahan Diana. Namaste, everyone. And welcome to today's service, whether you're joining us in person in the Mandir or if you're joining us virtually. We welcome you to today's service. And I'm sure that your mind has already been set on that spiritual path with Sandhya and Havan done by members of our Mahila. And it's very appropriate, as Pandit Bharji mentioned earlier, March is designated the Women's History Month. And this past Tuesday, we celebrated International Women's Day on March 8th. And this period is set aside to celebrate the achievements of women. And it's not that women are more valued or more important than men. We're all equally important. We provide that balance in the world. It's just that the role of women has evolved from being that stay-at-home mom, being in the kitchen, cooking and cleaning and being the caretaker of the home and the caretaker, the child care provider. That role has evolved over time. And women are now very active in the professional world. So women has had kind of a late start in contributing socially, economically, and politically. Hence, the time is set aside to recognize these contributions that women have made and to encourage other women to continue making that contribution, because we do bring a different perspective to things, and we're able to provide that perspective and create and continue that balance. With that in mind, Maharishi Swami Dayananda Saraswati had set a goal for women to be able to be leaders in the spiritual arena. And thanks to the members, the executives, and the teachers of the Arya Spiritual Center, who provided that training for women to take that role, the Mahila was able to present and has been presenting one Sunday in every month. And they've done a really good job doing the Sandhya and Havan. And I hope that we've put you in that frame of mind so that the next portion, the second half of today's service, you'll be able to be informed and you'll be able to absorb what we're going to present. Thank you.
And now the next person, thank you, Auntie Pandita Nirvani. The next person that I will introduce to today's program needs no introduction, but I will do it anyway. Just so those in the internet, on the World Wide Web does not know him, he is our Pandit Bharat Singh. Now, Pandit Bharat has many roles. He wears many kishtis. He has the kishti of a Pandit. He has the kishti as a teacher. And recently, he came back as the president of Arya Spiritual Center. So he is not just limited to those titles. He is also a father, a husband, and the person that many people call on for any special occasion. And I don't think many of you know just how tired this young Pandit is, because he is constantly being pulled in so many directions and he has to find his balance. And one of the greatest achievements, I should say, that he has done, and he's going to probably get mad at me for saying this, but I'll share it with you all anyway, is being on time for Mandir. As I said, he'll probably get mad at me. But that, I think, recently, because he's always being pulled in so many different directions, and I don't know where he finds the time of day. But this morning, thank you, Pandit Bharat, for doing special mantras and also giving us a bhajan.
Thank you very much, Bandayana, for such a wonderful, nice introduction. Let's join a little prayer. Om Agnimire Purohitam Yajasya Devamrit Vijam होतारं रत्नधातमम् होतारं रत्नधातमम् ॐ शान्तिः 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 ॐ. It's always a pleasure, it's always a joy to see our sisters, our mothers leading the Havana Yajna one Sunday in every month. You know, as we just heard, Nirvani, Pandita Nirvani mentioned. Before I go to my song, I just want to say a few brief words. But you know, as the president of this mandir, within the past 2 years and even before that, but in terms of being on stage and more active, the Mahila has really stepped up to that role, and I must commend all of them. And you know, I really commend Ben Nirvani as the coordinator of the Mahila group, along with the entire team of people, Darshani, Ben Premo, Mataji Leela, Puwa Bojwati, Bandana, and there are many names, but I'm calling the names who are in Mandir here today. That helps to support this Mahila program in making it a successful one. And you know, in the Yajurved, there's a beautiful line. It says Purandhir Yosha, which refers to our Mahila, our women folk, as multi-skilled and architects of a prosperous nation through the upbringing of children, birthing, nourishing, caring, educating, and continuous striving for physical, mental, moral, spiritual, and social development. Social development. You know, when many of the mothers, when they'll come to Mandir with their children, we will see them, and you know, most times the younger children, they sit with their moms. Sometimes a few of them will sit with dad too, but the majority of the time you'll see when it's time for pujani, hat jod, the mother will touch them, clasp your palms, and you know, put your hands out. The mother will always prompt them, as it says here. You know, they don't only concentrate on the physical, but the mental, moral, and spiritual growth, as we have seen with all and so many mothers. And thank you all of you, wonderful mothers, all the Dharampatnis who support their husbands and vice versa in making sure that their roles is one which they strive to make it smooth as they go along. And so, you know, we say in Mandir today, I had planned to sing a little holy song, but you know, the holy song needs either a tabla player or a drummer, and for so, you know, but anyhow, you know, Friday coming is Pagwa, so that's coming up in our announcements, so I won't touch on that. But you know, we say Bahan Nirvani, we say Bahan Premo, we say Bahan Darshini, and so today, all the sisters in our mandir, all the Mahila folk, you know, I like this phrase, you know, we say International Women's Day, but in Hindi we say Antarashtriya Mahila Divas. So much more meaningful than just mere International Women's Day. And so this song is dedicated to all the sisters in our mandir who constantly makes an effort to enable the wheels of this mandir with everyone else to roll forward smoothly. फूलों का तारों का सबका कहना है, एक हजारों में मेरी बहना है, सारी उम्र हमें संग रहना है. हमें संग. What sang means here? Anybody? When Prema, what sang means? Huh? Sang. Togetherness, right? Companionship. May that togetherness, may that companionship among sisters and brothers in this mandir and in your families also, more importantly, your respective families, may that continue to blossom as we will go forward. All of us, if you have your Atme Geet, we're looking at page 210. Join your sweet voices. फूलों का तारों का सबका कहना है, एक हजारों में मेरी बहना है, सारी उम्र हमें संग रहना है, फूलों का तारों का सबका कहना है। जब से मेरी आंखों से हो गई तू दूर, तब से सारे जीवन के सपने हैं चूर। ला 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 ला, जब से मेरी आंखों से हो गई तू दूर, तब से सारे जीवन के सपने हैं चूर। आंखों में नींद ना, दिल में चैना है, एक हजारों में मेरी बहना है। ऑल ऑफ अस,
सारी उम्र हमें संग रहना है, फूलों का तारों का सबका कहना है।
देखो हम तुम दोनों है एक डाली के फूल, मैं ना भूलो तू कैसे मुझको गई भूल। ला 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 ला, देखो हम तुम दोनों है एक डाली के फूल, मैं ना भूला तू कैसे मुझको गई भूल। आ मेरे पास आ, कह दो कहना है, एक हजारों में मेरी बहना है, सारी उम्र
हमें संग रहना है,
फूलों का
तारों का
सबका कहना है। हे हे ओ जीवन के दुखों से यूं डरती नहीं है, ऐसे बच के सच से गुजरते नहीं है। ला 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 ला, जीवन के दुखों से यूं डरती नहीं है, ऐसे बच के सच के गुजरते नहीं है। सुख की है चाह तो दुख भी सहना है, एक हजारों में मेरी बहना है, सारी उम्र
हमें संग रहना है,
फूलों का तारों का सबका कहना है, एक हजारों में
मेरी बहना है,
सारी उम्र हमें संग रहना है, फूलों का तारों का सबका कहना है, फूलों का तारों का सबका कहना है, फूलों का तारों का सबका कहना है। Like the flowers, poloka, and the stars, stars shining in the skies, the flowers always blossoming and bringing beauty to the world. May you all, the women folk, whether mother, sister, whatever roles you play, may you continue to shine like the stars, and may you continue to bring beauty to the world like the flowers. Wishing all of you a very, very auspicious Antarashtriya Mahila Divas. And as we continue this beautiful month of Women's History Month, whatever little you can read and know more about the contribution of our women folk, let's make an effort to do so. Namaste. God's blessings always to all of you. I pass the microphone back to our Sabhapati, who will continue with today's program.
Namaste all. We'd like to begin by reminding you of our weekly Sandhya and meditation sessions. These are led by Pandit Deepak Raman every Thursday at 7:30 p.m. via Zoom. If you'd like to participate in these sessions, please reach out to Pandit Deepak for the Zoom link. Next, we'd like to inform you about our Mahela group. The theme of our Mahela group is Women Empowering Women. In addition to coordinating the Mendap setup, the group meets monthly for meetings and discussions on a variety of topics. If you would like to get involved, you can contact Pandita Nirvani, who is the lead liaison for this program. We would also like to remind you of our monthly youth forums. These are currently being held in person. You can contact Behin Diana for information about these sessions. If you would like to make a donation and you cannot do so in person, we're providing a QR code. You can scan the code on your screen or click on the link in the live stream. It will take you through the PayPal process and you'll be able to make your donation there. Please be sure to include your name and contact information in order to receive a receipt. Finally, if you would like us to do a special mantra for an occasion, you can submit your name, photos, and message to the email address on the screen. This is aryaspiritualcenter@gmail.com. Center is spelled CENTRE. We would prefer to receive these submissions by the Thursday prior to the Sunday morning service.
I have two more announcements to make. We have our Phagwa Yajna happening on the 18th, 19th, and 20th, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And you'll see on the screen the time and at 7 p.m. and Sunday morning at 9 a.m. So please come out and join us. The first night will be led by Pandit Bharat Singh. The Saturday night will be led by Pandit Ravideen Ramsamuj. And our conclusion of the Edge will be led by Pandit Deepak Raman. Another announcement is that they will have the Phagwa Parade after about 2 years of being on hiatus, or a cultural program. There's going to have a holy celebration. My apologies, which will be on March 27th, Sunday at 12 p.m. on Liberty Avenue and Lefferts Boulevard. So please join Arya Spiritual Center and the Federation of Hindu Mandirs as they put together that cultural program. The next item of our program this morning, you saw her this morning leading in Hawan, and now you will be hearing her sing. Auntie Prema is going to be leading in a bhajan this morning. She is part of our Pandit training program, and it's great to see the diversity of females that we have leading and the range of talent that we have in our mandir. So Noah, I'd like to pass over the mic to Auntie Prema.
Thank you, Behan Diana. I'll do this bhajan in honor of Women's International Month. उठो बहनों बढ़ो विद्या, यही शिक्षा हमारी है। बिना विद्या के पढ़ने से बुरी हालत तुम्हारी है। उठो बहनों पढ़ो विद्या। Arise, sister, and seek knowledge. This is my advice to you. Without knowledge, you will suffer in this world and hereafter. तुम्हारा नाम शूद्रों में हुआ शामिल है ये बहनों, तुम्हारा नाम शूद्रों में हुआ शामिल है ये बहनों, हुआ शामिल है ये बहनों। बनी है पैर की जूठी, यही दुख हमको भारी है। उठो बहनों, पढ़ो विद्या, यही शिक्षा हमारी है। उठो बहनों, पढ़ो विद्या। Your name, oh sister, is listed among the lowest class known as Shudra. You are well known as a footstool. This burden is unbearable. तुम्हारा नाम और इज्जत नहीं अब कुछ रहा बाकी। तुम्हारा नाम और इज्जत नहीं अब कुछ रहा बाकी, नहीं अब कुछ रहा बाकी। सबब इसका यही है रीत, अविद्या तुमको प्यारी है। उठो बहनों, पढ़ो विद्या, यही शिक्षा हमारी है। उठो बहनों, पढ़ो विद्या। Your name and fame that you have had from ancient time have lost, sister. It is because of our ignorance, which is beloved to us. तुम्हारी को तुम्ही को हरते थे लक्ष्मी, तुम्हारा नाम था देवी। तुम्ही को कहते थे लक्ष्मी, तुम्हारा नाम था देवी। तुम्हारा नाम था देवी। तुम्हारी मूर्ख होने से हुआ भारत दुखारी है। उठो बहनों, पढ़ो विद्या, यही शिक्षा हमारी है। उठो बहनों, पढ़ो विद्या। You were called the goddess of light, and you were named the goddess of wealth. It is because of our ignorance the whole of Mother India fall. यही वसुदेव की बिनती न जब तक तुम पर हो विद्या। यही वसुदेव की बिनती न जब तक तुम पर हो विद्या, न जब तक तुम पर हो विद्या। तभी तक यहाँ बुरी हालात हमारी और तुम्हारी है। उठो बहनों, पढ़ो विद्या, यही शिक्षा हमारी है। उठो बहनों, पढ़ो विद्या। My advice is to you, sister, that how long you do not learn to read, so long you will be in this evil state that you are in, my dear sister. उठो बहनों, पढ़ो विद्या, यही शिक्षा हमारी है। उठो बहनों, पढ़ो विद्या, यही हालात तुम्हारी है उठो बहनों पर हो वेदिया
Thank you, Auntie Prima. So I told you we have such versatility in our Monday. You couldn't see it if you were online, but Panit Bharat was playing Dolak as well. So thank you. It was a great effort that you made. Thank you. And now for the messages of this morning. Our Mahila group decided, since today is this month is International Women's Month, they decided to give us 3 different presentations. So the first one being our organizing secretary, Behen Darshini Singh.
Namaste, everyone, once again. I am very privileged this morning to have been asked to open this morning's panel, let's call it that, a panel of speakers, and the morning message. As a teacher to students in elementary school and middle school, I would like to focus my message on self-esteem. And when you hear from the other speakers in this morning's panel, you're going to hear about other topics that are very relevant to this month and to women, but topics that also apply to everyone else. So again, I would like to focus my message on self-esteem because as a teacher, it's something that we're seeing as an issue and something that needs to be worked on. So I would like to open with a statistic because I wasn't familiar with this number until I started preparing for this message. In 2021, do you know how many New York City students committed suicide? Does anyone know? 5. In a single year, 5 students in our city decided to take their own lives. And I know 5 might not seem like a big number, but think about the ripple effect of that number. Think about 5 households losing a child. Think about generations of families, of 5 families losing a loved one. And then think about the school community. One child, if you lose one child in a school community, an entire community has lost a friend. So again, 5 might not seem like a big number, but it's really a crisis. And last year, 5 students in New York City alone committed suicide. As a result of this crisis, our chancellor, our mayor, they decided to give this intense push to reopen public schools. And the whole idea behind it was that our kids needed to resume their lives. They needed to resume socializing with their friends. But I don't think that anyone, we were never prepared for the pandemic. We never saw the implications of it. And so we were just everyone, each of us and city members, everyone, we were just dealing with the crisis as it came. So they saw a problem, kids needed to go back to schools, and they reopened schools. Now that we're back in our school buildings, we're facing a different crisis. Not separate, but a sort of a domino effect of children being at home and returning to schools now. So I'm sure that other students in New York City are experiencing this. Maybe you have a child and your child might be experiencing this. But once Auntie Nirvani asked me to do this presentation this morning, I decided that I needed to do some research. So I went to my school's guidance counselor and we had a conversation about what is happening in our building. So again, this is happening in our building, but I'm pretty sure that there are other children out there who are facing the same issue. What we're seeing is this. Since we're at elementary and middle school, we have a variety of ages. So we're seeing that our upper elementary school students, which would be about grades 4 to 5, and we could throw early middle school, grade 6 in there as well. And not just girls, we're seeing that all of these students are facing a crisis, and this is the crisis. They don't know how to act. They don't know how to behave in schools anymore. So think about it. When a 4th grader or 5th grader left school shut down, they were probably in 2nd or 3rd grade. They were babies. And now they spent all that time at home, and now they're finally coming back. But they're coming back as adolescents. They grew up at home. They grew up alone. They grew up with trauma, and they grew up in isolation. They found their research and they found their information on the internet. They didn't have teachers to tell them what to do, what was happening to their bodies, or what was happening to them. They did their research on their own. And, you know, not everything that they probably found was good to look at. And so now that they're physically changing, they're becoming aware of their own identity. And our students are becoming aware of the biases that are held against them. So let me give you an example. Our boys, you know, they were babies. Now they're back as teenagers. Their bodies look different. They look different. So we don't recognize them. And they somehow think that, oh, I'm a boy, so I must show interest in girls. And then our girls, they seem to think that they must dress or look a certain way to attract interest. And it doesn't really help that many of our students, of our children, are idolizing TikTokers and Instagrammers. That's where they're getting their information from. So this is where self-esteem comes in. Our students, we're finding, are followers, and they have very, very little appreciation and understanding of their self-worth. And as a theme of International Women's Day this year is to break the bias. We have to think of how to create a level playing field where everyone feels valued and celebrated. How do we do that? How do we break the bias? How do we create a level playing field? I mean, this is a real big challenge. It's not black and white. It's easier said than done. But I believe that this was made the theme because it's a real issue that we need to work on. And think about, how do you do that with children who are in the process of maturing? It's not easy. I was a teenager. We were all teenagers once. And I'm pretty sure no matter how good you were, your parent wanted to pull their hair out at some point. As a teenager, we're undergoing changes. We don't understand ourselves. And we don't know how to cope. So my advice, if I had to give a piece of advice on how to support our children in developing their self-esteem, I would say to start very small. And I selected one tip, just one, that we can use, and we can use this on ourselves as well. My tip would be to give our children the tools they need to be an active learner. Become an active learner. And this is something that Pandit Deepak always, if you know him, he strives to be an active learner. He's actually very inspirational. It doesn't matter what's happening, Pandit Deepak is always learning. And when you start to get to know him, you feel inspired and you feel like you have to become a learner as well. Why do I say that? Why do I say become an active learner? Well, if you're working on yourself and you're working on developing yourself, when someone asks you, who are you? And when you ask yourself, or you get asked the question, you have to ask yourself, who am I? Our kids and ourselves, they're going to have a lot more to say than, oh, yeah, I'm the cool guy in the class. I'm the girl who everyone thinks is pretty. Or I get this a lot. Miss Singh, I have a lot of followers on TikTok. Have you seen my TikTok? No, I haven't seen your TikTok, but I have a lot of followers on TikTok. If you become an active learner, you're going to have a lot more to say than just that. And you know what? They'll be able to see their self-worth through their own eyes, not through somebody else's eye. It's not going to depend anymore on what someone else thinks of them. It's going to be, what do I think of myself? What am I doing to make myself a better person? And I've never read this author, but she's always been on my list. Maybe some of you have. The Canadian Indian poet Rupi Kaur. She says in one of her poems, and she reminds us that all you own in this world is yourself. You don't own anything else, nothing else. You have no ownership of anything else but yourself. So spend time working on you. Help your children work on themselves, not on anyone else. I would like to share the resource that my guidance counselor shared with me that, inspired me to create this message. And there is a website called selfesteemrising.org. Selfesteemrising.org. It is also on the screen. When you go to that website, I tried it out myself, so I know it works. You can complete a short survey, ask for your name, if you're a parent or an educator, and it will just open up a ton of resources for you. And that's where I found one of the resources to be able to create this speech. They're printable resources. They're in color. Some kids like color. They're in color. There are things like Tree of Strength. What are you strong at? Journals. Many activities that children from a variety of ages can do to build their self-esteem. In addition, I mentioned Pandit Deepak, and I'm going to mention him again. His Thursday classes have evolved so much, and they've become this wonderful learning space for all ages. We have children on there. We have adults on there. So if you're available on Thursdays and you heard the announcement, his classes start at 7:30. If you're available, please try it out. Come and learn something new. Trust me, you're going to learn something new every Thursday. So I would like to close my message. I would like to remind us that we have to build our children's self-esteem, our own self-esteem, and you can do that by becoming a very active learner. I would like to say thank you to Auntie Nirvani for choosing me today to be a part of such an important message. And I'm going to pass you on to the next speaker in this panel. Namaste.
Thank you, Bahan Darshini, for shedding so much light on self-esteem and not having. I'm sure lots of us don't have children currently in school, so we don't know what's been happening during the past 2 years during the pandemic. But thank you so much, and thank you also for sharing that tip to be an active learner, even us as adults. As you've noticed, today's message has taken a very different turn from the norm. Because it's a celebration of Women's History Month, we decided to choose topics that are very near and dear to women, and actually not only to women, but what we're doing today is sharing with you from the eyes of a woman. And if you'll notice a theme in all of our topics for today. Not going to tell you that theme right now, That's your homework toward the end of this message. And now I'm going to ask a mother of this mandir, Mataji Lila, to make her presentation, and she'll be talking to you on grief. Mataji Lila.
Thank you, Pandita Nirvani Prasad. Namaste, everyone. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to share with you some ideas on today's topic, grief. When I was asked by Pandita Nirvani Prasad to do a presentation on this topic, grief, I was hesitant to accept. My husband and I and my family, we had a great loss, and we are still in the process of grieving. We recently lost our eldest child, my husband and I was not sure how I would react to this situation. That is why I told Pandita Nirvani that I do not know if I can handle the topic. And she said, yes, Auntie Leela, you can. She really encouraged me along, and I was able to muster some courage and mindset with the understanding that it will help me to better cope with the grieving process by talking about it. Today, I'm going to introduce to you a new word. There is a word for a child whose parents have died. That word is orphan. Now, what do we call a parent whose child has died? To my knowledge, I have never come across one in the English language. There is no such word in the English language to describe such a parent, at least for now. That word that I'm going to introduce you to is a Sanskrit word. I did some research in as much as the time was short for me to prepare, and I came across this with the help of my pati ji, Mr. Jilal Budram. We came across a word, and that word is Viloma. I'll spell it for you. Viloma. That's the Sanskrit word, which literally means against a natural order, and eventually describe such a parent. When a parent has to perform the last rites of a child, the grief and pain is overwhelming. I will move on to the definition of grief. What really is grief? It is our response to a loss, particularly to the loss of someone or something that has died, to which a bond or affection was formed. It does not necessarily have to be a person. We very often focus on the emotional response to loss, but grief also has other dimensions that affect us physically, socially, spiritually, and behaviorally. Grief is universal. At some point in everyone's life, there will be at least one encounter with grief. Grief does not follow any timelines or schedules. Everyone grieves differently, but there are some common grounds in the stages and the order of feelings experienced during the grieving process. Some of the stages we go through during the grieving process are as follows. These are some of them only. There are more if you do your research, but I will only touch on a few of them. The first one is denial. When you lose someone dear to you, or you lose a pet, or you have a broken relationship or something, the first thing that comes to your mind is denial and shock. This is a stage of disbelief, and you keep asking yourself when you see that situation, is this really happening? So that stage is called denial. Then we move to the second stage that I will deal with. It is called anger. We tend to question the fairness of the loss. And then I moved on to bargaining. In bargaining, we are asking God or the higher power that you will do anything that is needed to be granted relief from grief. This is a big one, depression. Grief leads to depression. Depression always makes you feel sad. It's a feeling of sadness, and it makes you lose interest in the activities you once enjoyed. I'm touching on the last one, and that is acceptance and hope. A gradual acceptance of a new life. Because after the grieving stage, your life will change. You will have to find ways and means of dealing with grief and your loss. So that is why I say accepting a new way of life. Now I'm going to quickly describe how we can cope with the loss of a loved one. While grieving, many people take comfort not in celebrating the life of their loved ones, but also in knowing that death is a part of the natural process of living. This experience is not the same when you're faced with a sudden death of a loved one. For parents who have lost a child, it makes no sense for life to end at such a young age. This is suffocating and painful. Few losses are as painful as the death of someone close. And I came across this quotation, which really has a very deep meaning. It says, "No valley is as vast as grief. No journey is as personal and life-changing." In coping with grief, we have to keep the family closely bonded and sticking together. This process provides the necessary help and support when we lean on each other's shoulders. In addition to immediate family support, support from friends, genuine friends, support from priests, and we are lucky here at the Arya Spiritual Center that we have wonderful priests. And my support from my pundits at the Arya Spiritual Center was overwhelming. This really helped me in the initial stages of grief. So always look for your priest, and you will be guided along the right track. So family priests, religious and spiritual organizations, and mental health facilities are also of tremendous help in coping with grief. During the grieving process, one has to remember that grief affects you physically. For example, you will find you have loss of sleep, loss of appetite, and so on. This takes a toll on your health. One should not neglect these, But the very nature of grieving is as such, there is no urge to indulge in these activities. Always remember, when you improve your physical health, your mental and emotional health will also improve. When coping with grief, stay away from negativity and negative people. These people do not know how to respond with compassion and empathy to what you're experiencing. Be wary of the insensitive things they say, like, you should be over this by now, and more. They can add more to that to add to your pain. There is never a point where you are suddenly over it. Grief will always be there for your loved ones. My advice, try as early as possible to get back to your routines, especially for the sake of the other children in your family. And remember, the lost loved one is still a part of your family. The grief that accompanies losing a loved one suddenly is unlike anything anyone can experience. But you will make it if you stay constantly praying, and by God's grace, you will pull it through. I will leave you with what the Bhagavad Gita says in chapter 2 on grief. And I quote, Lord Krishna says to Arjuna, that which causes grief in this material world is inevitable. So we should not feel sorry for those who have died or are dying. Everyone who is born in this world will die one day. The soul is neither born nor does it die at any time. It does not come into being or cease to exist. It is unborn, eternal, permanent, and primeval. The soul is not destroyed when the body is destroyed. And it continues in chapter 2 of the Bhagavad Gita that there was never a time that you and I did not exist. You know them not, and I know them all. Those are the words of Lord Krishna to Arjuna. This knowledge from the Bhagavad Gita brought a lot of consolation to me by reading and understanding what is being passed on to us, helped me and my family greatly. So when we are faced with grief, try to read religious texts, contact your priest, contact your loved ones, stay in touch with positive people, and from there you can move on. There are other places that you can go to look for grief therapy. You can speak to your family doctor, who will be able to refer you to grief counselors. And there are many books that you can read to assist you to cope with your grief. I have here a book that I brought with me, and I would like to share with you. If anyone would like to have a copy or want to borrow it, please feel free. The name of it is Grieving the Loss of Someone You Love by Raymond Lin. So this is the book. It's open to lend, and if you need a copy, you can find it at Barnes & Noble. Thank you and namaste, and I hope that with these few words, I can move on, and those who are listening can find some truth in this and move on too if they're experiencing grief. Namaste, everyone.
Thank you, Mataji Leela, Auntie Leela, for being very brave, and I commend you for being able to do this. I don't think that, I think it came best from someone who's experienced grief. And as a mother, as a woman, as you know, it's very valuable that you shared your experience and shared your process in coping with grief. I thank you very much for doing that, and I thank you for being able to inspire those of us that will at some point have to go through this process. I ask everyone to please join me in this prayer. I am the third person and the last person in the sequence for today's message. And I ask you to please clasp your hands and join me in the first mantra of the Shiva Shankar. Om Yajagrato Duramudeti Devam Taru Suptasya Tate Vaiti Durangamam Jyotisham Jyotirekam Tanme Manaha Shiva Sankalpamastu. Namaste again, everyone. And if you haven't guessed it by now, the prayer, I'm sure, clued you in that our overall theme for today is mental health. Both of the topics previously discussed, self-esteem and grief, lead directly into mental health issues. During the past 2 years, there has been an escalation in mental health decline. And I was actually looking at the statistics, and between January and June of 2019, there was an 11% increase in mental health sickness. And in January of 2021, there was a 41% increase in mental health sickness. The World Health Organization, WHO, defines mental wellness, as a state of well-being in which the individual realizes his or her own abilities, can cope with the normal stresses of life, can work productively and fruitfully, and is able to make his or her contribution to their community. During the pandemic, this has been tested for so many of us, and there was significant increase in anxiety and or depression in adults and young adults, and as Darshini had said, in school-age children. Now, this is not just specific to women, this is everyone. And we're expressing it because as Women's History Month, this is something that has plagued women, and we're seeing it and we're expressing it from a woman's perspective today. Individuals have varying stress level tolerance, and once that threshold has been met, the body starts to act differently. Mental health is a true medical condition, and not so long ago, it was not very widely recognized. Mental health does not manifest itself all of the time with physical symptoms. Some of the symptoms can include, and these are, mind you, just some of the symptoms, a prolonged feeling of sadness and hopelessness, and Auntie Leela alluded to this. She actually said this in the grieving process. Lack of interest in activities that once excited you. self-blame, and the feeling of worthlessness. Irregular sleep patterns. It can be too much sleep or too little sleep. Constant anger or irritability. Change in appetite. Sometimes it can go from one extreme to the next. You can overeat or you can have a loss of appetite. The inability to think and make clear decisions. And this makes a lot of sense because depression comes from the brain. It affects the brain. During depression, the brain acts very differently. Prolonged depression can reduce the gray matter that's being produced by the brain. And this can also result in shrinkage of the brain. Now, mind you, I'm not speaking from with any medical background. This is layman research. This can also, because this is affecting the brain, consequently, it's going to affect your ability to make rational decisions. This mental health illness will eventually, if not treated, lead to physical illness because the brain sends messages to various parts of the body. And if the brain is not acting as it should, if there's irregularity in the brain, then it will definitely send skewed messages to the various parts of the bodies. Now, what do you do if you observe these symptoms in yourself or someone close to you? Now, I'm not talking about, a week of being not eating properly or anything like that. A combination of these symptoms and prolonged experience with these symptoms. Once you find this in yourself or someone close to you, get an evaluation. And because of what happened during COVID-19, because of the mental health toll on individuals, getting these appointments have been a real challenge for people. Now, if you have health insurance, look at the back of your card. There's a customer service number on that card. Call that number and ask customer service, where can I get a mental health provider? They're the best ones because they will be able to point you to a provider in your network. If you have these symptoms and you feel that you're overwhelmed by these symptoms, or your loved one, you're watching your loved one being overwhelmed by these symptoms, most likely that person is in crisis. There are crisis centers that have popped up during the pandemic, and you can Google crisis centers in your neighborhood, and you'll be able to find them. There's a Zucker Crisis Center in Glen Oaks. If you go to the New York State website, you'll be able to find a number of resources, very useful resources. There is the New York City hotline, and this is free of charge. It's very confidential. You'll be able to have hands-on and right there and then someone that you can speak with that will help you through that process, temporarily, of course. It's necessary for you to get prolonged treatment if you're at that stage. One other thing to do is to surround yourself with people who can offer support. And Antalila said something that's very important. Surround yourself with positive people. And you know what? This is not only during crisis, at any time. So that you don't get to the state of mental health crisis, constantly surround yourself with positive people. If you're the one lending the support, you may need to be just a listener. Pay keen attention to what that person is saying. Pay keen attention. You may not need to say anything at that time. They probably just want someone to hear them out, someone that they can just express themselves to. Be that person without being judgmental, without offering any advice at that time. That's not what they may need at that time, just someone to listen to. Be empathetic. Listen for signs of passive suicidal ideation. Now, this is very important because prolonged depression and prolonged symptoms, when you start to feel like I'm not worthwhile, I don't know what I'm going to do, I feel very useless. Listen for these things. They can be a sign of passive suicidal ideation. And this needs to be addressed. Sometimes a therapist, a counselor is good, but that may be temporary. Sometimes in cases of severe depression, medication may need to be administered, and that's where a psychiatrist comes in. Know the difference between the two. A psychologist is a therapist, a talk therapist. A psychiatrist is the one that can prescribe medication. Get physical exercise as much as you can. During a time of depression, you're not motivated mentally. Therefore, you're not going to be motivated. You're not going to have the physical energy to be able to do that. Force yourself as little as you can do, and then try to increase that daily. Get the people around you to motivate you, and caregivers motivate patients to get physical exercise. Set yourself small goals. Maybe for one day, okay, I'll go for a walk for 5 minutes. The next day, extend that goal to 8 minutes. Then the following day to 10 minutes. Small goals, because your brain is not able to take long-term goals. Your brain is not able to tolerate, confusion and frustration. So don't overwhelm yourself by setting huge goals that you're not going to be able to achieve, and then that's going to further overwhelm you. Talk to your primary care doctor. Your primary care doctor is a very useful resource. Your primary care doctor can point you in a direction. Your primary care doctor has your medical history and will be able to point you in a direction to get the help you need. Will be able to tell you, guide you what kind of help you need. Do I need just a talk therapist, or do I need additional treatment? For patient and caregivers, educate yourself. Yes, you can get information online. You can get information from the doctor. Whatever you do, educate yourself so that you'll be able to get the help, the right help that you need. You'll also be able to help yourself. I cannot thank the two previous speakers, Darshini and Mataji Leela, for coming forward and presenting their topics, because if these issues are not treated, they will eventually lead to mental health issues. Today, we have in our community, in the Arya Spiritual Center, we have our pundits and panditas that are resources in terms of spiritual guidance, in terms of talking to. Utilize them. They will keep your issues confidential. Our Mandir has provided these resources for a very long time. And let's face it, we live in a community where we're not sure, we're not used to therapy, we're not used to speaking about our feelings. And I think one of the reasons is that we're afraid that whatever we say will not be held confidential. Our pundits have made an oath, and those in that position have made an oath to keep whatever we say to them in confidence. So I urge you to utilize these resources and other resources that you can find. And we'll put those resources up on the screen so that you can see. There will be numbers, there will be links that that we're going to put up. The book that Auntie Leela shared will also be up on the screen, so you can have those and use them at any time. You'll be able to go back to the YouTube channel and pick up that resource at any time. You'll be able to go to Facebook and pick up that resource. And I want to thank you all for listening. And I urge you, mental health is a huge, huge condition. Treat it with the seriousness that it is, and get the help if you need. There is no shame, there is no judgment in this condition. Get the help that you need if you do need it. With this, I'd like to say thank you to the Mahila for presenting today's service, and thank you for listening to me. Namaste.
Thank you, Panita Nirvani. As you all can see, the resources are up, and they were up while Auntie Panita Nirvani was speaking. And how powerful was today's message? I sat there and I connected with Behen Darshini's message on suicide. I connected with Auntie Leela's message about grief, and Auntie Nirvani about mental health. So powerful and so important that we address these things. And to close today's program, I would like to invite all the women here to perform Arti Bhajan. If you are willing and able to, please come up on stage and we will close today's program. And I see that Auntie Neela on our Facebook page said that not only is our mental health important, but also our physical health. And as Auntie Nirvani mentioned, getting exercise and setting a routine is so very important and powerful. So I think our ladies are ready.
Om Jai Jagadish Hare, Swami Jai Jagadish Hare, Bhakt Jano ke sankat, Bhakt Jano ke sankat, Shan mein dur kare.
Om Jai Jagadish Hare.
Jo dhyaave pal paave, dukh bin se man ka.
Swami dukh vin se man ka.
Sukh sampati ghar aave,
Sukh sampati ghar aave,
Ashtami te tan ka.
Om Jai Jagadish Hare.
Mata pita tum mere, sharan kahu kisaki. Swami sharan
न कहो किसकी,
tum bin aur na दूजा,
तुम बिन और न दूजा.
आशिक रो जिसकी.
ओम जय जगदीश हरे.
पल पावे, दुख बिन से मन का.
स्वामी दुख बिन से मन का.
सुख संपत्ति घर आवे,
सुख संपत्ति घर आवे,
अष्टमी धन का.
ओम जय जगदीश हरे. विषय विकार मिटाओ
पाप हरो देवा
ओ स्वामी पाप हरो देवा
श्रद्धा भक्ति बढ़ाओ
श्रद्धा भक्ति बढ़ाओ
संतन की सेवा
ओम जय जगदीश हरे
जय जगदीश हरे स्वामी जय जगदीश हरे भक्त जनों के संकट
भक्त जनों के संकट
क्षण में दूर करे
ओम जय जगदीश हरे ओम जय जगदीश हरे ओम जय जगदीश हरे शांति पातः
ओम ध्याओ शांति अंतरिक्षम शांति पृथ्वी शांति
शांति
रापः
शांति
रोषधय
शांति
वनस्पत्यः
शांतिर
विश्वदेवा
शांतिर
ब्रह्म
शांतिः
सर्वं
शांति
शान्तिरेव शान्तिः सामा शान्तिरेव ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः
प्रेम से बोलो ओंकार भगवान की
जय
प्रेम से बोलो मर्यादा पुरुषोत्तम श्री रामचंद्र की
जय
प्रेम से बोलो योगेश्वर श्री कृष्ण चंद्र की
जय
प्रेम से बोलो जगत गुरु महर्षि स्वामी दयानंद की
जय
प्रेम से बोलो वैदिक सत्य सनातन धर्म की
प्रेम से बोलो हमारे महिलाओं की
जय
Bhojan mantra. We would like to say a special thank you to Auntie Nirvani and Auntie Prema for bringing snacks and prasad this morning.
ॐ अन्नपतेन नो देहि अनमिवस्य सुष्मिनः प्रप्रदातारां तारिष ऊर्जन्नो देहि द्विपदे चतुष्पदे ॐ
शांति शांति शांति
Namaste.
Namaste, everyone. Thank you so much for joining our Mahela service today, and you do have a wonderful week.